Dear friends, welcome to another episode in the fantastic military world. In this video, we'll talk about a rather unusual request from the United States, with sources close to the matter reporting that the Pentagon has asked Ukraine to cease attacks on Russian refineries. According to a report published on March 22nd by the Financial Times, the United States has asked Ukraine to immediately stop attacks against Russian refineries, a type of assault Ukraine has been carrying out quite frequently in recent months. But what is the goal of these Ukrainian attacks, and more importantly, why did the United States ask them to stop? As I've mentioned in other videos here on the channel, wars are tremendously expensive events. This means that the larger a country's economy, the longer that country can sustain a war, with this economic advantage also reflecting in the quantity and quality of available weapons. Russia, with an economy nearly 8 times larger than Ukraine's, clearly has significant advantages in this area, meaning that in a direct conflict, Russia would inevitably win, even if just by exhausting Ukraine. However, we know very well that Ukraine is not alone, having received about $150 billion in military, humanitarian, and financial aid from dozens of countries over the last 2 years. But, even so, Ukraine knows that Russia is a large and powerful military force with an equally strong economy. The Ukrainians are aware that this economy is important for the war effort that Putin is exerting, and therefore, the best they can do at this moment is to attack precisely the main source of the Russian economy, largely represented by gas and oil. Before the Russian invasion of Ukraine, Europe paid billions of dollars every month for Russian gas and oil. But now, with the sanctions, European imports of Russian gas and oil have been cut by almost 99%. However, even with this cut, Russia continues to export a lot of gas, a lot of oil, and, especially, a lot of fuel, with countries like Brazil standing out as the largest importer of Russian diesel in the world in 2023. All this money is being directly used by Putin to finance his invasion of Ukraine. It was with the objective of hitting Putin where it hurts the most, in the wallet, that Ukraine began to attack the refineries and Russian terminals, carrying out attacks mainly through long-range drones, some capable of flying up to 621 miles and precisely hitting the refineries' most sensitive structures, like the distillation tower, where the lucrative petroleum derivatives, such as fuels, are produced. These Ukrainian attacks were so efficient that, in March 2024, Russia was forced to stop all exports of gasoline and other petroleum derivatives for 6 months to avoid shortages at Russian stations. For each day a Russian refinery is stopped, Putin loses tens of millions of dollars. Multiplying this by the more than 12 Russian refineries attacked in recent weeks, which will need to remain stopped for several weeks, we conclude that the Russian loss will easily reach the order of several billion dollars. A loss that, as demonstrated here, will have direct repercussions on the Russian war effort. It seemed the perfect Ukrainian strategy, so it was with great surprise that the United States asked Ukraine to stop these attacks, claiming they were increasing the price of fuel in the international market and that this could impact many economies. According to the Financial Times report, another reason cited by the United States was the risk of Russia retaliating against international gas and oil pipelines serving the West, notably the CPC, a massive oil pipeline from Kazakhstan that passes through Russia to Western markets. According to the report, the United States also claimed they do not encourage Ukrainian attacks against the Russian mainland, with the Pentagon reminding that the United States encourages Ukraine to attack only Russian structures built on Ukrainian territory, currently under Russian occupation. Although Washington has not confirmed this information, Ukraine has already responded, with Olga Stefanchina, Ukrainian Deputy Prime Minister for European Integration, saying that Ukraine understands the reasons cited by the United States. But at the same time, her country is fighting an existential war against Russia. That is, a war that, if Ukraine loses, would mean the end of the country's existence. And therefore, Ukraine feels it has the right to attack Russian infrastructures used directly by Putin to finance this existential war. Ukraine also reported that it is not using Western weapons in these attacks, with all drones involved in the attacks on Russian refineries being of entirely Ukrainian design and manufacture. This request from the United States, if confirmed, shows once again how Washington seems not to understand the reality of the war being fought in Ukraine. Ukraine is not concerned about the international price of oil. Ukraine is indeed concerned about ensuring that it continues to exist in the future as a sovereign and independent nation. And if you are not yet subscribed to the channel, subscribe and activate the notification bell to not miss any news, criticisms, ideas, or suggestions. You can leave them in the comments.
Хуя, блядь!
Ебать, где он есть?
Хана, авто 6. К2,